In today's video, I'm taking a road trip around some of the most stunning parts of Mull and Iona on a landscape photography adventure. Let's start by taking a look at the shots we're going to get. Mull is a small but wild island off the west coast of Scotland. It's accessible by a ferry from the town of Oban, a journey that takes around 45 minutes and can provide great views before you even set foot on land. I've wanted to come to Mull for a long time, so I am super excited to finally be here. The great thing is it's only a few hours from my home in Edinburgh, so it's actually been pretty easy to get here. My journey will be a mixture of road trip and camping, starting at the port of Killichronan before heading south in a clockwise direction around the island, hoping to see as much as I can in the 4 days I have. And I'm doing the trip in this. It's the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, and as you can see, it's pretty big and burly. That's good, as some of the roads can be pretty tough going. But this Jeep has got one crucial addition sitting on the top: a rooftop tent box. Unfold it and there's comfortably room for two to sleep, and it means no messing about with pitching tents on the ground. Not being tied to check-in or check-out times is extremely liberating and means you can be in your chosen photography spot for any time you want. After arriving on Mull, I drove down to my first stop on the trip, a small camping spot at an area called Lochbuie. The weather was disappointing. Grey clouds, flat light, drizzling rain. Not exactly great for dramatic landscape photography, despite the landscape itself looking superb. I did a short walk up to where I could see some waterfalls, which it turned out I couldn't even get to, so I headed around the bay to find the castle tucked away there. Just behind me, there, one way, is Moy Castle. We've just walked around the bay from where we'd parked to come and have a look at it. Now, as you can probably tell, the light right now is awful. It's incredibly flat. It's just clouds in the sky. It's still raining. This is not an opportunity for good photos. Luckily, we're only about a 10-minute walk away. So my hope is that once we've gone back and had some dinner, maybe the light might change and we'll get some sunset colour. If not, then hopefully we might get some sunrise colour, or at least some direction to this light, because right now that castle is just a grey box against some grey clouds, so it really is not a compelling image. So I'm going to set my alarm nice and early, probably about 5 o'clock, peek my head outside. If there's some decent light, I'm going to grab my stuff, come back out, see if I can get something better. In the meantime, I'm heating up some chilli, which I had the frankly genius forethought in pre-cooking a very, very warming, rich chilli at home, and just bringing some portions with me to heat up on the stove. Best decision I've ever made.
Things couldn't be more different in the morning. Gone were the lingering grey clouds, replaced instead by beautiful morning light, casting wonderful tones over the stunning land. So I packed my gear and headed back around the coast to check the castle out again.
So I've come back to one of the spots where I came to yesterday, but yesterday it was great, it was raining and it did not make for a good photo. But this morning we've got beautiful light all round, so this should be a lot better. And this is the scene that I'm looking at. We've got this lovely little waterfall in the foreground, these great rocks, and we've got superb light on the mountains in the background. We've got good cloud detail, all in all the elements for a really nice shot. So this doesn't need to be super difficult. As you can see, I've framed up with the waterfall in the bottom right thirds. I might need to tilt my angle down slightly. I do want a bit of motion on this water, so I'm going to use quite a high aperture, maybe somewhere around f13. It's going to let me bring it down to maybe even a bit higher, f16. And that's going to let me bring my shutter speed down to about a 60th of a second. Let's have a quick look. I think I need a little bit more blur, so I'm going to have to put on a neutral density filter.
With the filter attached, I could use a slower shutter speed, blurring the motion of the water. It's a pretty straightforward composition, but as the first picture I took on Mull, I'm quite pleased.
The castle might be a no-go though, because it is, as you might be able to tell, completely shrouded in shadow. So it's not really looking like a compelling photo, which is a bit of a shame, but because the sun was rising basically behind it, so it's not getting any of the light that we need. Looking at the castle, the sun is up here, sort of behind the castle, which is why this side of it is completely in shadow. So I think if I wander around the shoreline a bit, try and get on the other side, not only will the castle be lit up a bit more, but I might find some cool rocks and other stuff to use as a nice bit of foreground, which could work for a nice photo. This is a bit more what I had in mind. As you can see, the castle itself is lit up much better because the sun is on this side of it, and by going down the coastline a bit, I found these really nice rocks with this cool looking seaweed on, which is going to give me a really nice foreground. So the shot I'm getting is a vertical composition, and as you can see, the castle is up in sort of the top right thirds, and we've got these rocks forming a really nice foreground. I've got a polarizer on the front just to help control the blues in that sky. If we just give that a turn, you can see that right now the sky looks a little bit washed out. We turn it and it gets nice and dark again. So because we've got the rocks in quite the extreme foreground, I'm probably going to focus stack this shot. So I'm going to take one shot focusing on the rocks, and then I'm going to take another one focusing on the castle, and then blend those together afterwards. And then all change because I've walked a little bit further around and I found a much nicer composition where not only do we get the mountain in the background, we get the really nice cloud detail, but we've got these rocks and indeed some nice reflection of the castle in the foreground. All in all, this is going to be a much better shot.
I much prefer this image, and I think it really highlights the importance of taking the time to really explore your location to find the best composition. You won't always find the best shot on your first try, so be sure to scout around and experiment with different angles.
I am really happy with that shot. It looked really cool on the back of camera, so definitely looking forward to seeing what that can become with a little bit of Lightroom work. I am still walking a little bit further. There's a couple of small little bridges. There's a nice bit of beach that goes out in a slightly different direction from here. Don't exactly know where, so I think I might be wandering in circles now. Hi sheep! It's also a nice bit of iron something. Looks like maybe a winch to bring in fishing boats. Probably from this little jetty where the sheep are now hanging out. Sorry furry friends, I'm going to have to disturb you slightly. Are sheep furry? It means wool. They're woolly, not furry. Are they?
There's no better place to melt my brain with such taxing conundrums, but the question didn't linger long in my head as I found some great views to explore further along the coast. It was a lovely bit of beach, but an hour's drive and a 15-minute hike brought me to the beautiful Kilvickeon beach, which provided white sand, blue waters and amazing rocks all round. My first instinct was to explore the big piles of boulders around the edges, hoping to use them as foreground interest for my shots, and indeed I'm quite pleased with the images I got here.
Focus on my stupid face. This beach is awesome. Not only have we got these cool sort of islandy hill bits, but there is these amazing rocks and craggy cliffs the whole way around, which is just giving me endless foreground interest to put and make these great compositions. So yeah, really enjoying shooting here. I think there's a lot more that I can get yet, so I'm going to keep on going. And it was a bit of a drive to get to, and then a 10-minute walk to come down here, which is no bad thing because it means that there are just far fewer people here than if you could just drive up and park right next to it. So I'm not really having to worry too much about photoshopping anyone out of pictures because there's no one to get in my pictures. So I've come down to this little bit of rocks that goes around this tiny little inlet. We've got the cool islandy cliff bit in the background. I think this makes a really nice scene. Here's the composition that I'm going for at the moment. We can see that I've got the islandy bit in the top right third, but what I'm doing is I've got a ND filter on the front to get me a very long exposure. In this case 25 seconds at f10. What that's going to do is blur the water, give a bit of blur in the sky, hopefully give this a much more ethereal, dreamlike feel than if I use a much faster shutter speed. So let's give that a go right now.
The great rock formations meant there were shots to be had almost everywhere, but eventually I did have to head back to the car.
Just walked all the way back to the car to find that my square filter holder, plus my circular polarizer, plus my 6-stop ND has fallen off my lens at some point on the walk back up to the car. Now that's about 350 pounds worth of equipment, hopefully lying somewhere along this path. And hopefully when it fell off, they didn't smash, because they are just made of glass. And this is a pathway that's just made up of rocks. So I may well find myself a little annoyed if and when I find them. Lesson learned, always make sure you properly secured your filter holder in place, because I hadn't, and I am a gigantic idiot. Oh. Okay, that looks unharmed. And my polarizer looks unharmed. Okay.
With a lucky escape from the curse of ruined gear, I journeyed from one idyllic beach to another, this time heading to the Knockvologan beach. By this time the sky was a clear, vivid blue, making the water seem even more crystal clear and tropical. There are a network of several beaches here, each offering superb photo opportunities and even better opportunities for wild swimming if you can handle the freezing cold waters, which I very much can't and felt cold to my core after just a gentle paddle.
basically now the end of my first day. I've walked over 9 miles. I am pretty tired and I haven't had any food. So I have pre-ordered a burger at a place just around the corner, which I am very much looking forward to. Unfortunately, we're still very much in COVID, so most places are still closed. So sitting in a nice country pub and having a pint and a pie is unfortunately completely out of the question at the moment. But I do have a lovely view overlooking the harbour here. But I think I've had a really good day. I've hit quite a few locations, got some pretty good shots. Some of them are going to definitely need a bit of Lightroom work, and I want to have a play around with some different styles, but I definitely think I've got some nice stuff. And for one day, I am already pretty happy. Mull is treating me very, very well. Had a really nice blend of brooding clouds and sort of moody weather in the morning. And then as the day's gone on, those clouds have gone and we've got really nice summery blue skies. So there's been a really good mix. And certainly those blue skies over the top of the white sandy beaches that I've seen looks really, really nice. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how these shots have turned out. Don't think there's going to be anything else that I'm doing this evening because I've done quite a bit and I want to just chill out, maybe have a beer. But I am going to be having a good start tomorrow because I'm getting the ferry over to the Isle of Staffa. Now, Staffa's got all these really cool geological formations, these sort of hexagonal rocks that come up, which I'm super looking forward to seeing. There's also a small cave there, which really hoping that I can get in and get some nice shots because I have seen it photographed a few times. I think it could be really, really cool, but I don't really know what to expect on there for myself because I've never been, so it's going to be very much an experiment, but one that I am really looking forward to. So probably on that note, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
The next morning brought mixed weather. Grey clouds one way, blue skies another. It didn't really seem to know what it wanted to do. As I walked into Fionnphort to get the ferry to Staffa, the rain was pouring pretty hard, so I wasn't confident about my chance of getting good shots as we pulled away from the harbour. Still, bad weather never lasts long in Scotland, and as the minutes progressed, the rain eased and those clouds became much more interesting looking, giving me a lot more hope for some epic shots. The boat journey takes about an hour and the strong winds meant our crossing was a bit choppy, but the sea spray was actually quite refreshing and there were great views of the surrounding islands to be had along the way, including some quick views of the local seal colonies. As the awesome hexagonal columns of Staffa came into view, the clouds had retreated even further, leaving a brilliant blue sky overhead, and as we headed to the landing port I got my first view of Fingal's cave. Accessing the cave once you're on the island means traversing the hexagonal columns, which isn't super easy, but there's a handrail which means it's perfectly safe. The cave itself is superb. The formations of rock are truly incredible to see, and I tried to capture as much of the scene as possible using my super wide lens at 16mm. But while it was great to see the cave, I don't love my shot. It's a fine snap, but the stillness of the water means there's barely any motion in that water and certainly no drama. I'd have loved to see some waves crashing up on the rocks and sea spray flying into the air. Still, it was brilliant to visit nonetheless. Back on the boat, it was time to head to yet another island, Iona. Almost a stone's throw from Mull itself, Iona is a tiny but still inhabited island with a rich history, a thriving lobster fishing scene apparently, and some great photo opportunities. I took a casual walk across the island, stopping to enjoy the abbey, as well as snag some other shots along the way, but my goal was another small beach on the far tip where I found some more awesome looking rock formations. Back on Mull, I had a bit more of a drive to get to my next stopping point, but even the driving on Mull can be a pleasure with stunning views to be had around every corner. It was into the evening when I arrived at my next overnight stop, a beautiful little wild camping spot at a place called Killichronan on Loch Keal. Flanked by mountains, this location offered amazing photo opportunities all within 20 yards of the car. So the shot I'm going for is really making use of foreground, midground and background elements. We've got these lovely sort of round balls of grass here in the foreground. We've got this great line of rocks in the midground, and then of course we've got the mountains and the great clouds in the background. It all lines up really nicely with a vertical composition, and that is exactly what I am taking now. I didn't expect this small camping spot to be so intensely beautiful, but the gorgeous evening light washing over the surrounding scenery gave such a wonderful glow to everything that it made it very difficult to do anything other than just sit back and take it all in.
I'm a massive liar and I've come straight back out. I gave it like 10-15 minutes, finished my beer, and the light just got better and better, so you can probably see how warm this light is on my face right now. So I've had no choice really but to come back out and see if I can get an even better shot. Maybe I can.
With the golden sunset light and a reflection in the water, this is one of my favourite shots from the whole trip.
We got up nice and early and we didn't get great sunrise lights. It was a bit cloudy first thing, although it is clearing now. I kept our eye out and we haven't seen any eagles or any other cool birds of prey either. There are a few, I think, oyster catchers quite far down near the shore, but certainly nothing I'd be able to get with just a 200mm lens. So I'm just going to enjoy my coffee and see what happens later. So the first photo stop of the morning is actually only about 2 minutes away from where we were camping. And it's these awesome old, abandoned, knackered, decaying fishing boats right on the coast next to the town of Salem on Mull. These look absolutely incredible. I think these are going to work really well in photos. So I'm going to crack on and get started. So I've been looking round for some really nice compositions that show the boat off well, and I've found this spot here, and I particularly like this for a couple of reasons. One, we've got the sunlight coming in on this side, so it's lighting up the boat really nicely. We've also got this old debris as really nice foreground interest. So what I've done is set up a vertical composition. We've got this debris here in the lower thirds, the boats going in at the top of the frame, and I think that looks really nice.
Having got the shot, I'm not sure I love it, as it's quite busy, and I feel those foreground interests actually distract the eye from the boats themselves.
But as always, the first composition you get isn't likely to be the best one, so I'm going to have a good wander around and see what else I can find.
The decaying nature of the boat means there are tons of amazing textures to be seen in the wood, lots of flaking paint and old metalwork, so it's definitely worth getting up close on those details as well as taking your wide shots. Back on the road, it wasn't long before I was stopping again, this time to enjoy the Eas Fors roadside waterfall.
And I love roadside waterfalls.
And this is an easy one to love, with multiple tiers to explore and ending in a grand fall into the ocean. There are plenty of photo spots to choose along this stretch, and all are basically right next to the road, making this an easy win for photographers in a hurry. That said, I didn't find it easy to shoot here, and my 2 shots of the upper falls are really only okay.
So as I've been hanging out here, the light has changed, and it's opened up a really nice opportunity for a photo. Now I know that it's a photo I want because I've already taken it on my phone and it looks great. Probably put that in now. But it looks so nice that I want to go and take the same shot again with my proper camera. So that's what I'm doing.
From there, it was back on the road to enjoy the endless sweeping turns and beautiful scenery all around. The road is little more than a track in places, so it is important to drive extremely carefully and slow right down for blind corners, as you just don't know what might be coming and there's little room to get out of the way. The rest of the day was more about relaxing than photography for me, although I did snag a quick iPhone shot of some beautiful sunset colours I found on a lovely beach walk. My last day brought me to Tobermory. Famous for its colourful harbourfront buildings, Tobermory is a beautiful spot to visit. Leaving Tobermory basically meant leaving Mull, as my route was simply to go back to Craigenure and get the ferry back to Oban on mainland Scotland. I only had 4 full days on the island, but I tried to pack in a lot, and I'm really pleased with how much I was able to see and how many shots I came away with. It's a wild island with roads that don't always seem welcoming to tourist traffic, but the views and the people on the island will make you feel at home straight away. If you're after a stunning break for hiking and relaxing, Mull is a superb choice. But if, like me, you're also hoping to get some great landscapes out of your holiday, then Mull really is a must visit, and I can't wait to go back and explore much more of this incredible place.